up in the projects during the 1950s allowed me to see various movies because within walking distance, there were about a dozen movie theaters. Almost every weekend, my dear mother would take me and my older brother to witness whatever new or old flick was playing. My favorite theaters were 116th Street Loews and the Loews Victoria on 125th Street. As entertaining as I found the moving pictures, the producers of horror movies were having their heyday in their attempt to frighten an innocent child badly. So, from personal experience, here are my 5 scariest horror film moments from the 1950s. Number 5, The Crawling Eye. This 1958 feature by director Quentin Lawrence starred Forrest Tucker and Janet Moreau. The original British title was The Trollenberg Terror, but was released in the U.S. as The Crawling Eye. The film reflected its title with the slithering killer eyeball, but overall, even with the driving music, I hardly found the effects scary. The film's beginning disturbed me, though, when 3 climbers were scaling Trollenberg Mountain. One of them, climbing ahead, screamed, fell, and was luckily saved by the attached line to the others. When the friends pulled up the fallen comrade is when the problem really occurred.
Here he is, Jim. No! You idiot, we nearly had him. Why did you let him go? Didn't you see him? What are you talking about? His head! It was torn off! His head! It was torn off!
My young mind had never conceived of a head separated from its body. My imagination spun out of control, seeing the bloody stump where the head used to be. The filmmakers never showed the dismembered body part, and thank goodness, because the dummy cadaver would probably have spoiled the scare. Number 4, The Tingler. The master of horror, Vincent Price, starred in this 1959 film directed by William Castle. The premise of The Tingler surrounds a scientist who discovers that the tingling you feel when you are scared is a centipede-like creature that grows on your spine. The more frightened you become, the more the beast grows until it finally kills you. The only way to stop the creature is by screaming, which makes it shrink. I sat through the strained fright sequences which the scientist staged to bring forth the creature with the help of overly dramatic music. Showing the X-rays of the thing creeping up a patient's spine seemed barely believable. But what bothered me was the scene behind the curtain where Vincent Price pulled the creature out of the recently deceased person's back. My young hands shot up to my face in anticipation of seeing the horrid creature for the first time. When it finally appeared, the Tingler looked fake and as rubbery as sin. Regardless, I kept thinking of the thing behind the curtain after the show. Number 3, The Angry Red Planet. A regretful trip to Mars was the subject of the film. Ib Melchior directed the film, and it starred Nora Hayden and Gerald Moore. Some movie producer had the idea of displaying the Martian landscape through an orange-tinted lens and calling the film technique cinemagic, hoping it would become the next best thing in sci-fi horror. The effect was more of a distraction than scary. Then what did scare me during my first time on Mars? Was it the bat, rat, spider, crab creature, or the giant amoeba with the rotating eye? Or the thing's gelatinous body that would absorb people and spaceships? Because the prop department was obviously out to lunch, it was none of the above. What did scare me was that a speck of the gelatinous substance ate through the crew member's spacesuit and gotten on his arm. The shot of his now fingertip to elbow jelly-covered arm was bad enough, but when he was finally in the hospital bed, the puffy bandages stretched all the way up to his shoulder. They never showed his putrid, flesh-eaten arm under the bulky dressing, but I kept seeing it long after the movie. Number 2, The Fly. Kurt Newman directed this sad 1958 tale which starred Al David Hedison, Patricia Owens, and Vincent Price. Years before, people were beaming around the galaxy in the world of Star Trek. A brilliant scientist had created a teleportation cabinet that moved matter from one location to another. But when a housefly enters the cabinet unnoticed during the scientist's dangerous self-transmission experiments, the result turns the scientists into two creatures who are half man and half fly. The surrounding storyline was well thought through, and the fly creature scenes made the movie close to excellent. The special effects used in the film's ending are outdated by today's standards, but the small screaming voice of helplessness still rings in my head. Number 1, Forbidden Planet. Forbidden Planet easily rates as number 1 with its many scary film moments. Fred McLeod Wilcox directed, and Leslie Nielsen and Anne Francis starred, with Walter Pidgeon exceptionally playing the role of Dr. Morbius. Loosely based on Shakespeare's The Tempest, the story follows the attempted rescue of a group of settlers on the far-off planet of Altair 4 during the 23rd century. What the rescuers found were 2 surviving members in a death-walking mystery which is soon killing the crew members.
Just doesn't fit into normal nature. Anywhere in the galaxy, this is a nightmare.
Eventually, the captain, played by Leslie Nielsen, understands that the unseen monster was created and driven by Dr. Morbius, who earlier warned the crew not to land. Even by today's standards, this 1956 film holds up with creative script writing, innovative technology, and the excellent direction of an amazing group of actors. The 2 most memorable and haunting moments of Forbidden Planet were the invisible monster as it creeps towards the spaceship in search of prey. And finally, when the crew attempts to stop the creature from breaching the force field fence, resulting in unimaginable death. Well, that's my list. Thanks for the watch. Let me know your favorite movies from the 1950s in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and explore my many other endless perceptions.